Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for returning. Thank you for your support, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. I really appreciate that. Um, this is very important what we have been discussing here on this channel so far, because what we're discussing, it is affecting people in real time. It's affecting real people in real time. So I'm glad that you are all here joining me as we expose lies, uncover hypocrisy, and highlight degeneracy. That is the goal. That is the objective, right? So just for a quick recap, one of the main things we left off in part one, right? We were speaking about degenerate matriarchs' capabilities to turn a blind eye to and encourage predatory behavior, right? From her sons as well as other male family members towards the girls and the women in the family. And so I just wanted to highlight that because that's very important. That was a very important piece of this whole discussion here as far as matriarchs from hell, right? Predatory behavior from her sons and male relatives towards the girls and women in the family, right? Because today I'm going to be focusing more on the impact that this mother figure, this dysfunctional, mentally ill mother figure, has on the girls and daughters in her family. And also, let me say this really quick. I'm not an expert, and I don't claim to be in all areas of psychology and human behavior. However, I am a human, right, with my own ways of being, my own traits and characteristics and behavior and mentality. I am a human simply observing other humans, what I have already witnessed in my life so far, my young life so far, right? So I'm not claiming to be an expert in anything, but we will be discussing what we witness as humans from other humans. We're pointing it out for educational purposes as well as raising awareness. And we don't care who we offend. We don't care whose feelings are going to be hurt. If you're not hurting feelings, if you're not offending, we want to offend the right people. That's the thing. We want to offend and trigger and hurt feelings of the right people. Because the ones that are offended and hurt and triggered, those are the ones we're discussing. Those are the ones that we are shedding light on. As far as, again, lies, hypocrisy, and degeneracy. Right? So let's get right to it. While these degenerate matriarchs coddle their sons, turn a blind eye to predatory behavior, okay? Some of them will even blame their sons' girlfriends or wives, or significant others, whatever title they want to give those special women in their lives. These degenerate mother figures, instead of holding their sons accountable for their actions, for their choices and behavior, they'll blame the girlfriends and wives without a shred of evidence to do so. And y'all know that's a thing. Okay, these degenerate matriarchs, they will also, one of the things I've noticed too, is show up in court on their sons' behalves. I'm talking about full grown adult men showing up to court on their behalf, right? So they're picking up their sons' slack and responsibility in life. Listen, there's a channel on here where you get to watch people show up to virtual court and anticipate the judge's reaction and decision and enjoy what the judge has to say to the defendant who's standing in front of the judge explaining away their case and why they're there. I watched at least 2 cases on this channel where the mothers attended court on their son's behalf, full grown able-bodied men, some of them with multiple children. One of them was in the background. One of the dudes was in the background rubbing his feet together, eating a bag of Cheetos. Or at least that's what it sounded like. He was crunching on Cheetos or tortilla chips or something. Rubbing his feet together, eating Cheetos, whispering to his elderly mother what to tell the judge. I mean, he was right there in the room. He could have shown up in front of the judge. He had his mother do it. And this woman looked like an elderly woman, right? This type of stuff happens in real time. That was a real case. Those two cases, those were real cases. They were not skits. That's because that is a reflection of what is going on in the world in real time, right? Again, that saying, that well-known saying, mothers love their daughters and raise their sons. And I just gave y'all examples of that, and that's just what I could think of off the top of my head, right? And again, what I have observed and what I have witnessed, okay? And to know that these same degenerate matriarchs, mother figures, are kicking their daughters out of the home. I mean, some of the women, young women, are as young as 18. And their mothers are kicking them out of the home over, minor disagreements, or simply because she no longer wants her there. And again, we know that you have women out here who compete with their own daughters for the male gaze, who have declared war on their daughters, who view their daughters as enemies. So that's not hard to believe that you have a lot of dysfunctional, degenerate mothers, right? Kicking their young daughters out of the home. Some of their daughters might even have children. So they're kicking their daughter and grandchild or grandchildren out of the home. This is the type of degeneracy that is happening in real time. What else these degenerate matriarchs do to their daughters? Call them out of their name, right? Again, over disagreement, argument, whatever. Why do you have to call your daughter out of her name? That's disrespectful. Disrespectful, okay? Constantly criticizing them, humiliating them on social media. And as far as the constantly criticizing them, I can tell when a woman was raised in a overly critical home environment by the overly critical language that she uses with other women. That tells me right there that she grew up and was raised around maybe her mother, if her mother wasn't there, mother figures, whoever was in that home. It was a very hostile, critical environment. Okay, I could tell, right? And these dysfunctional, degenerate mother figures, they also abuse their daughters mentally, emotionally, physically, and even financially. You know, again, they may have their daughters there, she's working or whatever, trying to save up for a car or save up for her own place, and the mother just sucking her dry, you know, in her pockets. Not really caring about her daughter's goals as far as even moving away from her degenerate self, right? So these are some of the things that these women are doing while they're coddling and protecting and defending and showing up in life on behalf of their grown sons. And then you have mothers, degenerate mothers, who also take credit for their daughters' achievements. They do everything under the sun. Overly criticize them, compete with them for the male gaze, abuse them mentally, emotionally, and physically, take credit for their daughters' achievements. They do all of this, but actually love their daughters. I'm talking about consistently loving them and pouring into them, right, in tangible ways. That is very telling. And I believe this is why some women cannot build and maintain healthy, mature, solid relationships with other women, right? Why some women despise and hate other women, right? Because they're basically products of their environment, really. The one created by their mother or mother figure. Because again, we know a lot of women did not grow up with their biological mothers, or they were not raised by their biological mothers, I should say. So they had a mother figure, whether that was the dad's wife, girlfriend, or some other, relative in the family who stepped in to play that role. Doesn't matter. If you have a degenerate woman who is the biological mother or a mother figure, right? Surrogate mother, they're disrespecting, violating, mistreating that young woman. This is the result. This is the result. Women hating other women, women despising other women. These are the same women who claim that men make better friends than other women. Because the women that claim that, they're the women that they're speaking of. They're the messy women that can't get along with other women. That's why they claim they can only be friends with men. There's so many layers to this. And not only are there a lot of layers to this, there's that one huge gaping wound filled with emptiness, right? That a lot of women are carrying, that a lot of women have, right? A huge gaping wound filled with emptiness because they were robbed of the gift of bonding with their mothers or mother figures. They were robbed of that, right? And I have noticed that women like this that have grown up in these or who were raised in these hostile environments, right? They tend to seek validation and approval from other women in a desperate way, not in a way where they're just interested in pursuing other connections with women. It's more so of a desperate act of seeking validation and approval from other women, and not just older women, women, their peers, women their age, whoever, their peers and older women, seeking validation and approval from other women in general, right? Because they didn't get that from their mothers. Here's another layer. I think a lot of women, and again, these are my opinions, these are what I have observed, everything that I'm speaking, everything that I've said so far, right, is what I have witnessed and observed, as well as my opinion. Okay? Another layer to this, I think a lot of women are pretending to be gay, right? Hear me out. So that they can seek out and use gay women, true to the gay women. I'm not talking about women that's gay because it's a trend, right? Or because they mad at men, right? Or they have to wait until they're under the influence of chemical substances to enjoy another woman in that way. No, I'm talking about true to the game women. They not on any of that. This is who they are, right? It's not even a lifestyle. This is who they are. I believe a lot of women seek out women true to the game, gay women, for an emotional high, for emotional fulfillment. Because again, they did not get that from their mothers. And they still have this gaping wound that's filled with emptiness because they really don't know how to identify, why they are seeking approval and validation from other women, right? Because in my experience and from what I have observed, a lot of times women can't even make the connection between why they're having certain difficulties in life as far as relationships, career, anything you can think of, even health related issues. It's like they're not able to connect the dots between their dysfunctional relationship with their mother figures, these matriarchs from hell, and why they're having these current and recurring issues that are showing up in their relationships, showing up in their professional lives. They're not able to make that connection, and that's why that wound is still there, wide open, filled with emptiness, right? So, women are going around, they're seeking other women for validation and approval. And again, they're pretending to be gay. I know this is a thing because I've seen it. I've seen it. Pretending to be gay, seeking emotional fulfillment from women who are really about their life. You know what I mean? And they might even partake in sexual activity. Yeah, they'll play the game, so to speak. Whatever they have to do to hear another woman say, I love you, right? Or to get some sort of emotional high or some sort of, yeah, just an emotional high, emotional fulfillment from another woman, from another woman. And I sat down with a woman, a gay woman, right? And I've heard other gay women say this, how they have felt used by women, right? They have felt used by women because the women were presenting themselves in one way, and it turns out they were really seeking them out. They sought them out for other reasons, right? When their mask fell off, it was because they was mad at a dude. where they were just fed up with men and the treatment they were getting from men. So then they came over here to these women. Meanwhile, these women is really about their life. So that's just another layer to that. That is just another layer to that. Um, and I also believe this is why some women claim that sisterhood is a fallacy. And I can understand why they say that, right? Why they feel that way, you know? And the honest truth is they have not experienced sisterhood firsthand also. But I do understand why they say that because again, you have women seeking out validation and approval from other women and people can sense desperation, right? We can sense, it doesn't matter what people say. We sense nonverbal communication. We can smell it. We can smell desperation and fear and all of these other emotions from people. Doesn't matter what's coming out of their mouth. We can smell it, right? And so I've heard a lot of women say, sisterhood is a fallacy. The only time that women bond is when women don't want other women sleeping with their husbands or their men. That's the only time they want women to get on cold. That's a thing. That's a thing. But me personally, sisterhood is a real thing for me, as well as a lot of other women, despite unpleasant experiences that we've had with our mothers and other women, right? Because the good ones trump the bad ones. Sisterhood is a thing. It's not a fallacy. It's a fallacy for women who have not experienced it. And again, just like the women who claim men or make better friends, they can't be friends with women because of women's messy ways. The same with women that claim sisterhood is a fallacy. They're the women that they're speaking of. They're the women that are unable to build and maintain healthy relationships with other women. They're passive aggressive. I mean, extremely passive aggressive, sneaky, conniving, throw rocks and hide their hands, hypocritical, right? Contrary. There's always a contradiction between what they say and what they do. Those are the women that believe that sisterhood is a fallacy because they're the women. They're the women who, when they gather with other women, is to dog men out or to, maybe just not dog men out, but to share their experiences, trauma bond over negative experiences that they had with men or even other women. Unbeknownst to all of them, because they refuse to see themselves, because they refuse to look in the mirror, they are the women that they're speaking of. Sisterhood is a fallacy to them because they have not experienced it. I have. I will never say sisterhood is not a real thing, right? Ever. Because again, me and a whole lot of other women, despite unpleasant experiences, starting with our mothers, as well as other women, the pleasant experiences, the positive ones, always trump the bad ones. Always. And most importantly, we have done the work or are doing the work to heal any mother wounds, right? So that we can build and maintain healthy relationships with other women, right? So there's so many layers to this. There's a lot of mistrust between women. There's a lot of mistrust. There's a lot of passive aggression. There's a lot of disdain and contempt. And again, all of this boils down to the dysfunctional matriarchs in their family, starting with their mothers and mother figures, right? That is what's causing a lot of women to fear and distrust each other. And then, just to add on to that, these women will find other ways to reinforce their deep-seated beliefs that they cannot have healthy, genuine relationships with other women, right? Again, everything I just pointed out is evidence and byproducts of having to be raised by a matriarch from hell and at the mercy of a matriarch from hell, unhinged, imbalanced, dysfunctional mother figures. So there are still women struggling to escape the degenerate mother figures in their lives. And then let's also keep in mind the young girls who are at the threshold of womanhood, right? Who are confused by their mothers and the mother figures, mistreatment and hurtful behavior. And they're trying, in their undeveloped minds, they're just trying to make sense of it all. right? Because girls typically define themselves by the women in close proximity to them, starting with their mother, starting with the matriarch. So I emphasize struggling to escape. That particular phrase, I emphasize that because, for one, daughters are told by society meaning other family members and relatives, people at school, people at church, and other places of worship, the media in all forms, social media, mainstream media, um, people who share the same cultural beliefs as them. Um, so society tells women that ending their dysfunctional relationship with their mothers, with the matriarchs from hell, is the ultimate sin. And if they do so, they will be marked, just like in the Scarlet Letter. Remember the main character in that book, Scarlet Letter, and or in the movie, whichever one you consumed? I did both. I did both the book and the movie. And the book was better than the movie, by the way, in my opinion. So remember the main character, she was sentenced to hours of public humiliation for not confessing who her baby father was. Remember that? And then a part of that sentence was her having to wear the letter A for adultery. So that was society in that book, in that movie. That was society's way of punishing her, right? Um, so that movie and book, Scarlet Letter, different events, but the overall plot is similar to what women are experiencing, girls and women are experiencing in real life, which is shame young women for going against the grain, young and older women, because some women they go well beyond uh teenage years, into middle age, before they have the courage to disconnect, to detach from their mother, and then to heal and move forward from that. So which is to shame women of all ages for going against the grain, going against the status quo, and for being unwilling to meet societal expectations and being punished for it, right? By being ostracized from the family and alienated. That is the societal messaging towards women. Okay. Anyone who is trying to detach from their mother or dysfunctional family unit, but in this video, we're specifically referencing women with this. Um, So society tells people that ending your relationship, or at least taking control of the dynamic of the relationship with your mother or any other matriarchal figure, is the ultimate sin and betrayal. That's still your mom. That's what they're being told. People toss that phrase around without even knowing why they're saying it. That's how deep the programming is. And then people, including the degenerate mother figures, they'll start using Bible verses to justify their conditioned back ass was reasoning for why a woman should not cut her mother off, or a man for that matter, anyone for that matter, right? For why people should not cut their mother off. They'll say, because that's still your mom. you know It's hard for a lot of people, especially women, to escape their mothers because people have been guilt shamed into tolerating dysfunctional behavior. Okay? So if you find yourself speaking to a friend or relative or anyone that you feel comfortable with, that you vent to or whatever, if you're speaking to them about you wanting to cut her off, your mother, or any other matriarchal figure or mother figure, to end the relationship, ask the people why they're telling you not to do so. Ask them why they're telling you you can't cut your mom off. You can't do that because that's your mom. Ask them why they're saying that. And I guarantee you can ask 3 different people. You'll get the same response. That's your mom. She gave birth to you. You can't just cut her off. Guarantee you that's the responses that you'll get. This is how deeply programmed people are. So because a woman gave birth to you, that means you're required to take and tolerate abuse and disrespect. Okay. And with that being said, shout out to the mothers who consistently love and pour into their children, right? The sons and the daughters. Shout out to y'all. No one expects you to be perfect. Just human. Just be human. That's all. That's all it requires. There's no manual on raising children and parenting. Just be human. That's all. So shout out to y'all. Also, if you have not done so already, check out the channel description that I just added. I just added it. Check that out so that you know what to expect from my content. Okay. Um, Also, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as a sidebar, all comments are welcome. All. Even the nutty ones. All right. So again, we'll meet again. There's many more topics, many more topics of discussion that we'll be bringing to the table. So until we meet again, peace.